welcome to this week's edition of Pet Pals. I'm Bethany Davidson, the Humane Educator here at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. Co-hosting with me in animal wrangling is our volunteer coordinator, Sean Snyder. And our first guest today is a bundle of energy. If you're looking for an energetic dog that's going to want to play fetch with you, go hiking, maybe even be a running partner, then Biscuit might be a great option. He's about a year old, so he's still filled with all of that adolescent / puppy energy. So he's a very active guy. And he does know some basics. He can walk fairly nicely on a leash. He does know sit, but he does have a couple of things that he needs to work on, like when is it appropriate to put my mouth on something can be kind of a challenge for him. He thinks everything is a toy, and he is an excellent destroyer of the toys, so making sure that he can only have things like nylabones and stuff when he's unsupervised, but he definitely has a lot of potential and a lot of toy drive. Toys are just as rewarding for Biscuit as a treat. So that can be a way to kind of keep him nice and fit and toned instead of just piling on those treats when we're doing any type of training with him. He can be an affectionate guy, but again, sometimes he gets a little overstimulated and is just learning what to do with his mouth. But it's surprising to me. He's been with us for a week or two, and not a ton of interest in him because he's a lab mix, and usually those go fairly quickly. So if you're out there and you're thinking that you want a lab to make your family complete, then definitely stop in and visit with Biscuit.
People often ask that if we're seeing an increase in animal relinquishment as the pandemic fades, and Biscuit seems like he might fit into that category. Is that correct?
So according to the paperwork that his previous owners did fill out, they said that they used to work remotely, and now they're back to work all the time, and they felt like he needed a lot of outdoor time, a lot of exercise that they just weren't able to provide now that they're going into the office. So he is one of those cases. But if you have a pet and you're concerned that they're not getting as much exercise and things that they need because you aren't home all the time, now there are some alternatives, and one of those things is doggy daycare. And we actually have been sending Biscuit. Each week we have a volunteer that actually pays and takes one of our dogs to doggy daycare. And after Goblin left, Biscuit was the next dog, and he had a blast. He played so hard that in fact he needs to be on leash walk only for a couple of days. So he really had a good time, and that's a great way to compensate for if you're not able to be home with them as much when you're working. So or make that transition. And it's not something that you have to necessarily do every day with your dog. If you do it a couple times a week, that might be just enough enrichment and enough of an outlet to keep them in your home instead of having to bring them here to the shelter like Biscuit. So if you are interested in making Biscuit a part of your family, the first step is always going to be to make that appointment to visit. It is a requirement that all members of a household, including existing canines, meet with an adoptable dog here at FCAC, and you can make those appointments by going to visit fcac.as.me. Our next guest is Tama, and Tama is one of our longest residents. She's been with us since the end of July of 2022, and she is a beautiful shepherd mix. She has these great big bright eyes, and she's got this great smile, and sometimes her ears just like perk right up, and she just got this great little like bat look to her. And she's a very sweet dog. She's a very playful dog. She tends to prefer run and chase games. She was definitely a little bit under socialized when she came to us, so she doesn't really necessarily understand toys yet. So you'll throw a toy and she'll just watch it and then look at you like, what am I supposed to do with that? But if you run and play with her, or if another dog is walking by, she'll kind of initiate play through the fence line with the dogs out on their walks. She has a lot of potential. She's very treat motivated. So she's going to be a great owner to an owner that can be committed to giving her some structure and some routine, and definitely a little bit of training, because she does need to work on her manners. She likes to jump up on people a little bit. She can be a little bit mouthy, but she's still a young adolescent dog who's kind of navigating those things without having a lot of structure early in her life. We have been working with her on walking better, not jumping up. She is listening to her cues. She's learned sit. but she can still be a little bit wary of strangers. So it can make it harder for adopters to come in and connect. So, if you're interested in Tama, maybe giving her more than one visit might be helpful to kind of create that bond and learn a little bit more about her. She has done well with other dogs in the past. So if you have an existing dog, that might be a good thing for her to give her a playmate, a companion, somebody to hang out with and kind of follow their lead a little bit.
So does Tama have any restrictions on the type of house she can go to?
So she does. Right now we have her listed as adult home only, just because sometimes with the dogs that like to jump up and things like that, that can be wary of strangers. We don't want any kids to get knocked over. We also want, sometimes kids struggle with understanding, those body language cues. We want to make sure everybody's safe in the household. That because she, even though she's getting better, can be still very freaked out by really fast movements and loud noises, and often those are just parts of having a kid. So it wouldn't be as comfortable a home environment for her. And then when Tama came in, she was out running with some other dogs who were getting into some mischief. She was not the leader of this livestock chasing plot, but she was a follower, and as a result we are looking to make sure that Tama doesn't go to any homes with livestock that's going to be really chickens and roosters and ducks and things like that. And also, we're not looking to send her into a home with like cats and things like that she may want to just follow that natural inclination to chase and things like that. So that's kind of the main restrictions that we have for Tama right now. If you are interested in Tama, you do want to make an appointment to visit with her, and you can do that by going to visit fcac.as.me. If you want to ask any questions before coming in, you can always give us a call and ask the admins to give you a little bit more information. And that number is going to be 301-600-1546. Our next dog is Moon, and he is just the handsomest guy. He has this great blue brindle and white coat, and he's obviously a little pit bull mix. And we're friends. We like to hang out, Moon and I. He likes to get treats. He's very treat motivated. He loves a good snack. He's about 2 to 3 years old, and he is relatively new. He's only been with us since the last couple of days of November. And he is not a dog that you're going to see when you just walk through the shelter, because he's not on the floor. He's off the floor because, as you can maybe see from his body language, he is a little bit of a nervous guy. He's very friendly with us, but loud noises and fast movements and strangers are definitely something that makes him feel uneasy. So we keep him in a nice quiet area so that all the other dogs barking and stuff when visitors come by don't upset him, and he can be calm and relaxed and make his stay as comfortable as possible, because the shelter is really can be a stressful place. But when you take him outside and it's just nice and quiet and just you and him out in the play yard, he's very playful. He loves to run around and play fetch, and he'll crawl up into your lap for a cuddle. So he has a lot of really great qualities for a family that's willing to kind of take that patience with him and let him get to know them and make him feel comfortable. So it's just a little bit of work with a lot of reward for that effort.
So you mentioned that Moon is visitation by appointment only, but all people have to make an appointment to visit. So what's the difference between that?
So when we're saying those things, that's just to indicate that the dog is not on the main adoption floor. So when you walk in, you just make your regular appointment. You're not going to see him. You have to specifically ask to see him. And then what happens if you go up to the front desk or you ask one of the kennel staff volunteers, hey, I would like to see Moon. The QR codes are still out and available for people to read, but then we'll actually take him outside so that you can meet him in an environment where he's going to be more comfortable, and you're not going to see him, when he's acting super stressed in his kennel. We've done this for a variety of dogs. For a while, Tama was actually by appointment only. So it's something that we do when we think it's going to be better for the dog. They're going to show better to potential adopters if you don't see them when they're at one of their more stressful states, but you see them outside where they feel comfortable and relaxed, and you can really see them for who they are in a less stressful situation, because their personalities do change just like us. When we're really freaked out, it's hard to focus on anything else other than how we're feeling. But he has a lot of potential, and he's a very, very sweet guy. He just needs that kind of calm, relaxed home. We are looking for kids 13 and up for him to be, the youngest in the household, 13. Just again, like we're talking about with Tama, for be able to read those body language cues a little bit quieter, not as loud, things of that nature, to make sure it's going to be a good fit. If you're interested in making that special appointment to meet Moon, you have to make an appointment by going to visit FCAC.as.me, but it's really important either to call ahead of time, send an email, or let staff know when you arrive that you are looking to meet specifically with Moon. Hi guys, we have an update that we wanted to bring to you with a little bit of some sad news. If you're a frequent watcher of the show, you probably remember our last episode. We had two dogs out here, Mars and her best friend Bruno. And over the last couple of weeks, we were noticing that Bruno wasn't doing very well. He wasn't walking around a lot. He didn't want to eat. He wouldn't even eat McDonald's cheeseburgers. So we were definitely, having him looked at by our vets and sending him out to other vets, doing x-rays and things like that. And unfortunately, we discovered that Bruno had a pretty large mass in his abdomen. And so he was rapidly declining. He was definitely in pain and he was suffering, and that's never our goal. So we had to make some difficult decisions to do what was in the best interest of both Bruno and Mars. And we decided to peacefully let him go because it wasn't fair to kind of let him continue on and suffer. When the animals are here in our care, we treat them as our own. And as part of being a pet owner, sometimes we have to make those difficult choices. So now Mars is here by herself, and she is definitely much more anxious alone, but we've done some things to kind of help with that. She is on some anti-anxiety medication to kind of take the edge off a little bit, and we're trying to make sure that she's not alone in the kennel. So she's hanging out with staff in offices in our front admin area. If you stop to visit, you might see her back there. She likes to watch. She's very, watchful, and as the days go by, she's been this is about day 4 or 5, on her own, and she's getting stronger and she's getting more confident and she's becoming friendlier with different people. She's starting to play more, so she is coming along, but she is going to need a family that is definitely prepared to be patient with her and kind with her and take things nice and slow. Here, she was recently spayed, so we are working to let that recover, and then we'll be introducing her to dogs here to give her a playmate and a friend that she can hang out with during the day. But we are requiring that anyone who adopt Mars actually have an existing dog in the home, because she does perk up when she sees another dog, and so that will help her keep her nice and relaxed so she's not alone during the day, but also give her another friend to kind of help boost her confidence and make her feel a little bit more secure. So that's kind of the update that we have right now on Mars. She is a great dog once she feels comfortable. She wants to snuggle with you. She wants to play. She's very curious, but she just needs a little help right now. I'm kind of feeling confident in herself. If you are interested in Mars and you meet those requirements of having an existing dog in your home, you can set up an appointment to visit with her by going to, again, visit fcac.as.me. So right now, our cat population is actually pretty low. I think there's only about 20 cats on our adoption floor right now, which is great. Because it's always nice to have a lower population, which means animals are in their homes. And it doesn't give necessarily adopters a lot to choose from, but it does ensure that the ones that we have are more likely to get a home. And we do have a couple of new residents, and Major Marinera is one of those new residents. He actually went on the floor, I think yesterday, even on the date of this filming. So he's super, super new, and he is one of our larger cats. He is about 17.24 pounds. So he is a large guy, but he isn't just fat. I mean, he's a very big cat. He's very long, he's tall. He probably could stand to lose a few pounds, but he's not going to be like your tiny cat because he's a big guy. He's about 2 to 3 years old, and he, like many of our cats, came to us as a stray, and he's just a very sweet guy. He's not the cat that's begging for your attention. He likes to hang out and lounge in his bed or his litter box when he's feeling a little uncomfortable, wants to feel safe, but he loves attention. He has great potential as a lap cat. He just loves attention. He's very kind of relaxed and calm, but he does just need a minute or two to kind of settle in. And he is definitely a cat that we are watching to become people's favorites. Let's say that. He definitely has that type of personality that is going to win some people over.
So as viewers know, some of the names at the shelter can be quite interesting. So how did he receive his moniker?
So when animals do come to the shelter with an existing name, we try to keep their name for, that's what they're familiar with. Sometimes we change them if they're offensive, like on the floor right now, or, just detrimental, like Twinkie, a cat on the floor right now, his actual name was Stinky. We're like, that's not a very nice name, right? So we kind of switched it. But as a stray, he didn't have a name. So he reminded us of one of our favorite cats, Colonel Custard. So we tried to give him a name that was a little bit similar. He needed a good rank, It was between, I think it was Sergeant Spaghetti or Major Marinara, and, Major is a higher rank. So it's also just fun. We have thousands of animals to name each year. And so when we can get a little bit creative with it, it can be fun for us. And it does definitely help people identify and be like, oh, that's an interesting name. Let me take a look at that. So, it's fun for us. And sometimes we do them in a theme. So if people are like, why are all these things named after vegetables or whatever, it kind of allows us to keep track of how long they've been here, because we can remember when we started that theme. Foster parents often name their kittens themes, and so we kind of know who came in the litter together based on those things. So not only is it fun for us, and just, it's better than calling him 231598. It's something that can definitely attract an adopter, which is an important thing in an animal shelter. If you think that Major Marinara is a fantastic name and it makes you want to get to know the cat that is being called that, you got to make an appointment to visit him. And you can do that by going to visit fcac.as.me. So the last cat that we have for you is a little bit different in his personality to Major Marinara. This is Kevin. And Kevin is a precocious little guy. He's about 1 to 2 years old, significantly smaller by about 7 pounds. He's only about 10 pounds, but he makes up for his lack of size in his size of personality. He is the cat that's at the front of his cage and is, meowing at you and reaching out for you, really trying to get your attention. He's a very curious cat, a very playful cat. He's doing pretty well right now being handled and sitting up, but he does tend to prefer to have his feet on the ground. In his exams and things like that, he would let you pick him up, but he pretty quickly was letting you know that he would rather be down. So not necessarily the cat that you're going to pick up and cuddle and carry around, but is definitely the guy that's going to keep you entertained in your home, and is going to be very playful and affectionate. Everything is a cat toy, I like to say, and I feel like Kevin is the guy that will remind you of that in your home, by wanting to get into stuff. Right now, he's wanting to nuzzle in pretty close to Sean, so he's affectionate, but again, he's making that decision. He's going to be the cat that's going to jump up on your lap and crawl up onto your chest, not have you pick him up and put him up, and cuddle with him on your chest. And he is one of the younger cats on the floor right now. It's not the time for kittens. While we do have a couple of kittens in foster care, for the most part, the kittens are definitely dwindling. We only have about 3 or 4 of those on the floor right now, and they are all scheduled to be adopted. So if you're looking for a younger cat, then Kevin might also be a great option for you on that front, because he does still have that kind of young personality. So he is going to be playful like a kitten.
I noticed Kevin has a scab on his nose. What's that from?
So I wanted to point that out today, because a lot of people ask those types of questions when they see the animals in their photos on Facebook and they're coming to visit them. A scab on the top of their nose is something that's very common here. And what happens is a lot of our stray animals end up trapped by either Good Samaritans or our officers out in the fields, and they get scared when they get stuck in there, and then they're trying to get out, and they just, they rub their nose and their face on those cages trying to get out. Even if they're just in a carrier sometimes and they're unfamiliar with that, they're trying to get out, and that's how they kind of get those abrasions on their nose. Even this week, I was taking a cat home, actually, like getting ready to take her out to go to her new family, and she got freaked out because she was back in the carrier. It was actually Klaus of our bonded pair, Louie and Klaus, and she was butting her head against the cage door so much that she gave herself a little bloody nose on her way home. So we fixed that up and then sent her on her way, but it's a very common injury. It heals quickly, but sometimes it's still present in their photos, and we always take note of those things. We treat them if necessary, but a lot of times, just like if you got a little scrape from falling down, it's going to heal on its own. It's not a big deal. But because it's a frequent question, we wanted to make sure people were aware of how those kind of injuries happen. If you are looking for a mischievous feline to be to kind of complete your household, and keep you entertained through the remainder of these winter months and forevermore, then definitely check out Kevin here. You can make an appointment to visit with him by going to visit fcac.as.me. We hope you've enjoyed meeting some of these animals and kind of hearing an update on some others. And tune in next episode, and we'll have even more information for you with 6 new adoptable pets from Frederick County Animal Control.